Look at some of the biggest stories affecting the pound in your pocket with business and finance commentator Michael Wilson. Michael, really good to see you this morning. What's this about a government U-turn? They've literally U-turned the truck, as it were, on the visa licence. Like what they did there.
Yeah, it's a rapid change of gear, isn't it, really, and all that? Yes, certainly. So what's happening is that the HGV drivers from abroad are being put onto the sort of skilled immigration thing. This will be announced officially tomorrow, as we understand it. The U-turn is that it's only been so-called highly skilled people who've been allowed to come into the country, but not before time now. We're rapidly seeing that the fact that we do just-in-time deliveries in this country for fuel, food, and NHS and everything else that needs to be carted that you can't actually carry on a little bicycle. In other words, it's got to be carried in a lorry. Is actually part of a bigger process. So at last, the government's recognising this. I was particularly struck actually by the guest that you had on yesterday, who was a youngish lorry driver who decided he'd had enough, and he actually went through all the conditions that they have to put up with. One of there are two very important things that he said. I mean, about personal hygiene and so on. You've got to mostly sleep in the cab and pay your own parking, which can cost £50, and you can reclaim it back from your employer, but it takes time to claim it back. And the other thing that he mentioned was it's not really a job for women because of, hygiene, toilets, and all that, and security most of all, and that I feel is a great shame. So in other words, it's still a pretty lousy job. I mean, yes, it may well be that we get people from abroad who will do this, but it'll take time to replace this gap of supposedly 100,000 drivers. And as your guest earlier said on the programme this morning, it's not just about the UK, it's about other countries as well. So there's a dearth of these skilled people whom we never think of, except when we're overtaking on a motorway or not, as the case may be. Now it turns out they're vital. Of course they are.
And Michael, some of the papers reporting that we need to save Christmas. We've got 10 days before this is going to destroy our festivities.
Well, yeah, I mean, every Christmas, I mean, it's not just about fuel and so on. Every time we go up there, what's it going to be like? Are we going to be out there shopping and all the rest of it? Well, suppose we have to pull back a little, supposing there are empty shelves, supposing we get in touch with our neighbours perhaps and don't have the shower of presents and commerciality that seems to surround Christmas from when autumn finishes. It may be. I think that a lot of the pictures are very, very good. Your picture editor on a newspaper would be sending you out if you were a snapper and saying, get me pictures of, empty shelves and so on. The great pictures. Is it really what's going on? I think not. I think that, we were only talking, 2 weeks ago about John Lewis hiring ships, actually, to bring goods in. So retail will always find a way around this. Things will be very different. It won't be the shock horror stories that we're getting right now. I was looking at headlines yesterday. What was it? Britain's running on empty. I don't think it is. I think there's plenty of fuel around. It's a question of actually getting it to the petrol, to the fuel stations.
But we could certainly be facing winter of discontent, not least, Michael, because thousands of customers could well see energy bills rising exponentially.
They could, and the problem about this is, as the head of Energy UK was saying only a couple of days ago, the business model is really not fit for purpose. In other words, there is a cap on how much companies can actually charge. Now, the smaller ones are going to the wall. That means that Ofgem will transfer those people, 1.5 million of them apparently, who are no longer served by smaller companies, onto a larger company. Will they be paying more? Yes, they will. Why will they be doing that? Because there are fewer people actually supplying the energy. Unfortunately, this kind of reality is gradually sinking in. The government, not just, swapping around a few skilled drivers coming to the country, they're really going to have to think about how energy companies actually operate and whether the present system of a cap on everything. I'm not suggesting that, everybody's going to be happy with higher bills. Of course they won't. And also the jiggery pokery of swapping from one supplier to another is now a thing of the past. There only will be 5 or 6 big ones, if that many.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Michael, when it comes to this business model, because the whole point, the principle was that it was market economics. You have loads of competitors, it drives the price down, but then you're going to put a cap on how much they can charge. So we're not going to quite trust the market. We're going to put a cap on things. either nationalise it or privatise it instead of this kind of halfway in the middle model?
I think, I think that's exactly what the chief of Energy UK was actually saying. She'd been in the job, I think, for 18 months, have been banging on about this, and suddenly, obviously now it becomes a story. She's actually been proved right that it's not an attractive model for new entrants to get into. So they'll just be the big companies who may well be international, may well be making money elsewhere. But it's a real crisis. I wouldn't get too. Again, it's a handy headline, the Winter of Discontent. I promise you, having lived through a real winter of discontent, which was in 1972, 1973, 1974, when the country really was facing big problems. I mean, I don't suspect it'll be anything like that. Rubbish piling up in the streets, people unburied in cemeteries. I mean, I don't think we're going to go through that again. It's a good headline. I think we'll cope, but it'll be tough.
Yeah. And finally, Michael, Boris Johnson urging Jeff Bezos as the chairman of Amazon, to get this company that's backed by Amazon to build their electric vehicle plant here in the UK.
Yeah. Now, this is interesting, and I think if it comes to fruition, it'll be good that the Prime Minister's actually done this, because it just so happens that a couple of weeks ago it was announced that there's a big gigafactory which is going to produce batteries, which is going to be on the site of the old Blythe power station in Northumberland. That's going to be immense, and that's going to help the auto industry through what the technical press describes as the transition from one fuel to electricity. It's not happening at the moment because you've got an electric car. You're still worried about whether you're going to get a charger or not. But the fact is, one, batteries lasting longer, two, infrastructure going into place. And of course, it is going to be expensive. I mean, we have not been told what the true cost of this transformation is going to be. But if it means that somebody like Jeff Bezos, who, I mean, I can remember interviewing this guy 25 years ago, and he was going to say, I want Amazon to be bigger than Waterstones. Can you imagine? That was and what he gets his finger on what's important. There he is in his space thing, but actually nothing happens about that until it becomes commercial. This is where the action is, converting to electric motion as far as cars are concerned. Good luck to him.
Yeah, it might solve our fuel problems as well.
Michael, yeah, indeed.